We have been sitting on an amazing piece of history, and not many people have known it. Good morning. My name is Newman, and I'd like to welcome you to this ribbon-cutting ceremony for my Eagle project. There's a very interesting story of how this plaque came into being. About 1 year ago, I called Mr. Paul Wexler, Commissioner of the 4th Ward in Springfield, and I asked him about putting a plaque at Wagner Wayside Park, talking about a stone miller's wheel that's there. And he in turn contacted the Parks Department and was told of their need to place a plaque at this park about Jane Lowndes. So I decided to go to one of their meetings. And at the meeting I was informed of Howard G. Lowndes Sr. and his desire for the Parks Committee to put a plaque at Jane Lowndes Park discussing his ancestor Jane Lowndes. After the meeting, I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Lowndes, and he told me about Jane Lowndes, who was his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. After that, we came up with the text of the plaque, and lastly, after months of planning, we installed the plaque that we will unveil in just a moment. Jane Lowndes was a Quaker, and though the Quaker ideals stem from the 1600s, they are still alive today. There's an acronym for the Quaker ideals, and that is SPICES. The first S stands for simplicity. When Jane Lowndes came to America, she was willing to live the simple life in a cave before her house was built. The P stands for peace, and the reason Jane Lowndes came to America was to peacefully escape persecution. The I stands for integrity, which the Parks Committee showed by working with me to put up this historical plaque. The C stands for community, and like Boy Scouts, Springfield has a strong community of people that are bound together and care for each other. The E stands for equality. When Jane Lowndes and the Quakers came to America, they came in hope of equality of all religions, and that is what we have today. And the final S stands for stewardship, and that concept is very important today so future generations can live as healthy and happy as we are today. Such ideals are the reason that Jane Lowndes came to America and pioneered Springfield. This is a very important piece of history to our town. History is important to our world because it tells us where we come from, and this piece of history tells us how Springfield came to be. The plaque honors Jane Lowndes and the entire Lowndes family. I'd like to thank Mr. Wexler, the Commissioner for the 4th Ward, who helped me get my project off the ground. I'd also like to thank the Parks Committee, especially Megan Cortez, Mr. Frank Papa, and Mr. Dan Lanciano for helping me through all the details. I'd like to thank Mr. Lowndes for making his family history known to all of us, and I'd like to thank Audrey Sherlock of Franklin Bronze Plaques for making the ordering process so easy. Lastly, I would like to thank the Scouts of Troop 512 who helped me clean up the park and install this plaque. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Howard Lowndes Sr., who is the direct descendant of Jane Lowndes, to say a few words.
Sorry. I want to thank Dan Lanciano and the rest of the commissioners for having me here today. I would also like to thank Lee Fulton, the Township Manager, Frank Papa, the Parks and Building Superintendent, along with Gina Sage and Megan Cortez from the Parks Committee. I would like to extend a special thank you to Zach Newman of Troop 512 for offering to work on the plaque for his Eagle Scout project. It is an honor to be here for the dedication of the plaque for Jane Lowndes Park. Last June, when I first time I came to the park, where I spoke with a few residents, they didn't know the story of Jane, which led me to contact the township. Everyone has been so nice to me. I'm just happy to be part of this event. This is going to be tough. I just wish I'd come several years ago, so my wife could be with me, but I do have my 2 children here with me. And of course, many members of the Lowndes family are with me here this morning. Some coming as far as Georgia, I think. Everyone has been great supporters through this whole process. Now for the generation to come, the story of Jane Lowndes could be told on this plaque. Again, thanks for having me share this moment. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm Dan Lanciano. I'm Commissioner of Springfield, 7th Ward. I want to thank my fellow commissioners for their support for this project. I also would like to recognize Frank Papa, who has done an outstanding job. Pleasure working with him. And congratulations, Zach. Nice job. This was not an easy project. There was a lot of communication involved. There was a lot of expectations that had to be set. And Zach learned a lot of project management skills that will help him in the future. So he really did an outstanding job. I just wanted to say, from the township's point of view, this was a great project. Many times we struggle with difficult decisions, raising taxes, personnel issues, public safety. This was fun. This was an opportunity to help a Springfield resident get his Eagle badge, and also help Mr. Lowndes, who was a gentleman and a pleasure to work with all along. And it's also an opportunity for the Board of Commissioners to really enjoy and savor our history. And again, thank you for coming out today. I want to introduce Commissioner Wexler, who will speak a little bit more about Zach, but congratulations, Zach. Nice job. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Zach. One of the privileges of being a commissioner, one of the benefits, is getting to meet residents that you might not normally know. That's certainly the case when I've gotten to know Barbara and Scott Newman. And if you get old enough, you're fortunate enough to meet the next generation of families, and that's where Zach comes in. And as Zach said, I think you ought to get him. He called me and to initiate this project, and probably that was my extent of it, except putting him in touch with the right people. But I think there ought to be a merit badge when a young man has the courage to get an idea off the ground and make that phone call to someone that he doesn't know, and then follow through to make sure I was doing what I needed to do in my part, that this happens. So Zach, we appreciate that. I looked up a couple things, and I just wanted to kind of put this in perspective for Zach and the admiration we all have for him. Eagle Scouts, he's on a journey to become an Eagle Scout. According to my research, only 4% of Scouts are ever granted the rank of obtaining Eagle Scout. It requires obtaining a number of merit badges, and then, in addition to that merit badges, creating a project and following through. All these are based on the ideals of the Scout Oath and Scout Law. But this project that Zach initiated starts with a planning process, organization, leadership, and management skills. And Zach certainly has shown those skills. And in addition to being a very articulate speaker, and Zach, someday you might have one of our jobs, and that wouldn't be a bad thing. To additionally put in this perspective and the journey that Zach's on and the type of young man he is, I found that 9 Eagle Scouts have received the Medal of Honor in service to their country. At least 40 of our astronauts are Eagle Scouts, including Neil Armstrong, the first person on the moon. Business people who obtained the rank of Scouts include Sam Walton, J.W. Marriott, Michael Bloomberg, in addition to President Gerald Ford, Steven Spielberg, Robert Gates, past Secretary of Defense, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, Bill Bradley, former senator from New Jersey, former New York Knickerbocker basketball player, and Philadelphia's former Center Lake star, Shane Victorino, the Flying Hawaiian. So Zach, you're certainly in good company, but only 4% of those that are in scouting ever get to Eagle Scout. And I think, I looked up online the application process to become an Eagle Scout, and I think that's probably why 96% never make it. So in summary, Zach, please know that the commissioners and the entire community admire your love of family, dedication to community, and your dedication to the scouting way of life. And we applaud you. And the test of a good decision is the test of time, and this certainly will be the test of time. And we thank you on behalf of all the residents of Springfield. Thanks, Zach. I'm going to put Zach back on the speaker now.
Okay, and now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the unveiling. Thank you all for coming. Feel free to participate in group photos now. This ends the ceremony.
Well done.
Great job.
Thank you.
Let's get a picture of you next to that class.
He did an amazing job.
Well, I got goosebumps. He's got his name on there and everything.